Good morning, everybody. How are you today?
Good.
Good. My name is Debra Fox. I am going to be your personal communication success coach today. And on behalf of SkillPath Seminars, we are here today to learn how to become a better communicator. Is everyone in the right room?
Yes.
All right, good. We are going to kick today off with a quote. I'd like you to see this quote online. Let me turn my power on here. The quote says, "The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it's actually taken place." That was by George Bernard Shaw. How many of you have experienced that before, where you walk away from a conversation and say, I don't understand a word that was just said to me? Or maybe they didn't understand what you said. So this is the challenge we have. How many of you in this room have felt like this woman before? Can you see her? She's right in here. What's the challenge that this woman is experiencing from a communication standpoint?
Too much.
She can't say no. And so everything gets piled on her desk. How many of you agree that's a problem? That can be a problem. How about this person? Have any of you ever felt like the dunce in the corner of a meeting room before? Not necessarily because they put you in the corner, but maybe because you didn't have enough confidence or enough surety in the topic, the subject matter, so you kind of put yourself in the corner. And what about this woman who's stressed out and having a bad day? How many of you agree that people who are majorly stressed out, boy, do they have challenges communicating assertively? Yes or no? Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, there's the famous difficult people scenario, how to handle difficult situations to avoid conflict and battles. Those are the things that we are going to talk about today. Let me tell you that over my years, I have served as the president of the American Modeling Association. I've owned 4 different businesses, and in that industry I've had to learn very quickly how to build rapport with agents and models and to work with different people continually. Buying and selling businesses, starting businesses and selling them is a lot of negotiation, and quite frankly communication on a daily basis is a negotiation with people. So we're going to talk about a lot of those things today. Now, one thing you need to do for me today is find a sheet of paper, and at the top you need to put Debra's ditties. And I'm going to give you quotes throughout the day that will help you remember key points that we're covering today. The first key point I want you to know today is this one. If you don't have the courage to confront, you don't have the right to complain. This is a foundation point for our training on communication. We all know people who have a lot of complaining to do, but they don't have the courage or the skill set to actually speak up and say something. Have you known those people? But they run around the office and they talk about it all the time. We have to learn to be confident in speaking up in those issues. So I want to start and talk about the one thing that we're all going to have to focus on today, and that is habits. If you've ever been to a seminar before, you've heard a trainer say, in order to change a habit, you have to execute the new habit for 21 consecutive days. Who's heard that quote before? Yeah, of course you have. I've trained it. I think every trainer has trained it. But recently I had an epiphany. And based on that epiphany, I have changed my position on this quote. My position now is that I think you can actually change a habit in one day. One day. Let me prove my point. My sister, 68 years old, has been a smoker since she was 20. Now, if you do math like I do, that's 50 years. 48, we'll call it 50, right? And she's been a smoker that long. And here's the deal. She's tried to quit smoking. She's done the patch. She's done the gum, she's done hypnosis. There was one month she did the patch and the gum together. That was interesting for us, you know. And she's tried it all to no avail. It did not work. She did not quit smoking, no matter how many days she tried the technique. 2 years ago, my sister went to the doctor as a follow-up appointment to some tests that had been run. And the doctor proceeded to tell her that she had been diagnosed with lung cancer. She came home from that appointment, promptly pulled that pack of cigarettes out of her purse, and does anyone want to take a guess what she did with that pack? She threw it out immediately. She never smoked another cigarette the entire rest of her life, all 1.5 years of it. See, here's my point. It doesn't take 21 days to change a habit. It takes a consequence to change a habit. Does that sound like a reasonable thought to everyone? So the point I'm trying to make here today is that we have all come to this room today and to this topic with habits that are probably not serving us well. How many of us would admit that? I will. Anybody else with me? I have habits that don't serve me well. Yeah? And our objective today is to A, address what those habits are, And B, develop a plan of action to change those habits when you leave. Is everybody on board with that plan today? Wonderful. The next thing I want to share with you is another Debra's ditty. Write this down, please. Knowledge is confidence. Confidence is power. So the second thing we need to learn this morning to be prepared for is that we are responsible for the learning today, not just me. So my expectation is that you will meet me 50-50 on the learning day. Who's prepared to do that today? Wonderful. Thank you very much. So let's talk about knowledge. You take responsibility for ongoing learning. We know that the key to learning is spaced repetition. And my favorite spaced repetition was based on a AAA study that said, when you listen to audios in the car, the amount of commute time or drive time we spend in a car, that if we would listen to audios, in 1 year we would have the equivalent of 1 semester of college. Isn't that powerful? The knowledge level. So my question to you today, rhetorical question, what are you listening to? What are you listening to in the car? How are you using that downtime to increase your communication skills and your knowledge level? Fair question? Yeah, you bet. Now, as we get ready for today, the last request I have is to find another sheet of paper. I want you to make 2 columns, and we're going to reference this page all day long. On the first column, I need you to write habits standing in my way. And on the second column, I need you to write tools I need to improve or change these habits. And at the end of each section today, we are going to go back and review what are the habits I have in this area that might not be serving me well. I'm going to make some recommendations on tools that will help you with those habits. And I also encourage you to communicate with each other, network with each other today, and share ideas that you've come up with over your careers, because I'm not the only person here today who brings knowledge to the table. Let's share that knowledge during our break times and during our networking times. That's how we're going to prepare our day. If you will turn with me to page 3, we're going to dive right into our workbook.